There's a moment when everything feels possible, and yet a small voice whispers, "What if I fail?" It's quiet, but heavy, a weight that sits between the ribs and the breath. In that silence, you don't move. You think, maybe I'm not ready. Maybe it's not the right time. But deep down, you know, the timing is never perfect. It's just fear, wearing the mask of logic. The cloud above your head isn't real. It's just a thought. And like every thought, it can pass if you let it. An idea appears fragile, glowing. You don't know where it came from, only that it's alive. It hums softly, like a dream waiting to be believed in. You want to touch it, but hesitation creeps in. You've seen others try. You've seen them fall. You remember how failure felt, sharp, personal. But this idea, it feels different. It feels like something that might change everything, if only you dared to reach out. You touch it, and for a moment, the fear fades. Excitement takes over. Your chest feels lighter, your steps quicker, your vision clearer. You imagine the possibilities, what success might look like, what freedom might feel like. But deep in the excitement, fear waits, patient, quiet, knowing it will return the moment you take your first real step. You move, finally, not running, just a single, conscious step. The ground feels uncertain, but the act of moving changes something inside you. It's no longer about perfect plans or perfect timing. It's about momentum. Every journey begins with a trembling step, and this one might just change who you are. Then it appears, out of nowhere, a wall, not made of stone, but of doubt, invisible yet solid. You press your hand against it. It's cold, unmoving, like every rejection you've ever felt. You wonder, was I wrong to start? But no, the wall isn't there to stop you. It's there to test you, to ask, how much do you truly want what's on the other side? You look closer. In the glassy surface, you see yourself, but darker. This version of you remembers every failure, every mistake, and knows how to whisper your worst memories back to you. But as you stare longer, you notice something. That reflection only moves when you do. It isn't your enemy, it's your shadow, and it's been waiting for you to acknowledge it. Voices rise. What if you're not good enough? What if they laugh? What if it all falls apart again? They circle your head like smoke, not real, but hard to ignore. You freeze. The body listens to the mind, and fear begins to write your story for you. But deep within that noise, there's a softer voice, one that says, "You've been here before?" And survived. You step back. The idea that once glowed so bright flickers. Failure feels closer than success. And suddenly, quitting feels safe again. You tell yourself, maybe it wasn't meant to be. But the truth is, you're not quitting the dream. You're just hiding from the pain of trying again. Silence. You sit, alone with your thoughts. The world goes on, but you stay still, trapped between regret and relief. Failure is heavy, but loneliness is heavier. And in that stillness, you realize something important. You're not afraid of failure. You're afraid of being seen failing. Then, a flicker. A thought, small but persistent. What if I try again? It's not confidence, not yet. It's curiosity. And that's enough. The spark doesn't erase the darkness, but it makes you remember that you can create light, even when everything feels dim. You stare at that small glow, wondering if it's real this time. The heart beats differently. Not fast, not slow, just steady. You whisper to yourself, what if failure is part of the process? For the first time, the question doesn't sound like defeat. It sounds like awakening. You rise, not because you're fearless, but because you've learned to walk with fear beside you. Courage isn't loud. It's quiet. It's the moment you decide to try again, knowing you might still fall. That's real strength. Not absence of fear, but mastery over its weight. You run, not to escape, but to break through. Every step is a rebellion against the voice that told you stay small. And this time, you hit the wall not with fear, but with intent. A sound crack. Small, but undeniable. Light seeps through. You realize the wall was never solid. It was made of your own beliefs. One crack at a time, you begin to see that failure wasn't an ending, but a teacher. The wall collapses, not violently, but beautifully. Fear disperses into fragments of light, illuminating everything it once hid. You exhale and realize that freedom doesn't come from avoiding failure, but from walking through it. You stand in silence. The air feels different, lighter. You can finally see how fear shaped you, how every failure, every hesitation was part of your evolution. It wasn't punishment. It was preparation. You feel taller, not physically, but within. The same world looks different now because you've changed. The fear is still there, but it no longer defines you. It follows quietly, like a shadow that's learned its place. You take another step, but this time it feels different. You're not walking away from fear. You're walking with it. That's maturity. That's mastery. That's the freedom you are always chasing. You reach a hill, and for the first time, you see the horizon clearly. It's wide, open, full of potential. You realize that failure didn't shrink your world. It expanded it. Because only those who've fallen can truly appreciate the strength it takes to stand again. And there it is, freedom. Not the absence of fear, but peace with it. You've learned that failure doesn't define your worth. Your willingness to rise does. So you open your arms to the light, not because you're unafraid, but because you've accepted that fear was never the enemy. It was always the invitation to grow,